which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening. Thank you all for coming tonight. Okay, board president to advise members of the audience that they may address the board regarding agenda items after the superintendent's report. Only those members whose names and addresses are listed on the sign-in sheet available prior to the start of the meeting will be recognized during your business. The chairperson will limit discussions of any item by the public to 3 minutes in order for the board to expeditiously conduct its business. Mr. Manzo.
Good evening. In light of the unfortunate recent events happening in other school districts, we have reminded all administrators, staff, to ensure that all entry doors are properly secured at all times. Doors are not to be kept propped for any reason or under any circumstances. We have also increased security visibility throughout our buildings and district as we continue to provide an environment that is safe for our students and staff. Should there be any questions regarding building security and safety, please contact the respective building administrator for immediate assistance. Our mental health teams are prepared and available to assist as needed, and I encourage you to reach out to those professionals to meet your child's social and emotional needs. Mr. Sank, anything further on that?
No.
All right. So at this time, we're going to be recognizing a great group of students, both academically and on the fields. We have a few students recognition. Some are music, athletic, again, academic events. These type of students continue to exemplify academic and athletic excellence. At this time, I would like to invite Mr. Estivo for the first round of recognition, then followed by Dr. Wadawa, and finally by Mr. Bernard.
Good evening and welcome. I'm Stephen Restivo, Director of Health, Physical Education, and Athletics. It is a privilege and an honor to recognize some of our student athletes here in the district. We just had a awards assembly as well, and here tonight they're going to be talking about a lot of what they accomplished athletically, but a lot of these students earned High Minds and Motions Awards, Scholar Athletes Awards. Their averages are well above 90, so these kids are excelling both athletically and academically. So it is it's a real honor and a privilege to see these students compete both in the classroom and on the field. At this time, we do have our coaches here, and I would like to introduce Coach Ciccalone, who is going to be talking about some of our swimmers here that are with us tonight for their recognition. So how about a nice round of applause for our coach and our swimmers.
Thank you. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank the board for taking the time to acknowledge our student athletes. This year, our swimming and diving team, we were the 2023 League One undefeated champions. So we're very excited about that. We took second overall in the county, and on the state level, we took 6th overall, being the #1 team on Long Island, beating out all the Suffolk and Nassau teams combined. And this young man, Jack Milligan, was a big part of that. Braden Black, who could not be here, was part of our relays. This year, Jack qualified in the 100 freestyle individual event, and he was part of our 2 relays, the 200 freestyle relay, as well as the 400 freestyle relay. The 200 freestyle took 5th overall in the entire state, and our 400 freestyle relay took 4th overall in the entire state. And the great thing is we have most of that relay coming back for next year, so we're very, very excited. But this young man before you is a tremendous athlete. If you look up team, you'll see Jack's name in there. He's always putting team before himself, always helping out the younger athletes. So we could not be more proud of this young man and his work ethic, and looking forward to another year with Jack. So Jack Milligan, everybody, thank you.
Yeah, yeah. I'll see that.
Once again, how about a nice round of applause? We are combined with Connecticut School District. Our kids take the bus from East Islip High School over to Connecticut High School during our emails or during the fall. Gentlemen compete during the winter, so it's great for our district here to have our kids competing instead of independents. They're competing on a team. At this time, I would like to introduce our varsity girls winter track coach and some of our track athletes to please come on up so we can recognize all of their fine accomplishments here in East Islip.
First, I want to say thank you to the board for recognizing these girls. We had an outstanding winter season. I'm going to start with some individual accomplishments from some of these young ladies. Freshman Danielle Simonetti. Danielle, step up. Danielle set school records in the 1,000-meter dash run, and then at nationals, competing against some of the best freshmen in the country, took 5th place and set a school record of 59 seconds flat, which is outstanding. Good job, Danielle. Her sister, senior Olivia Simonetti. Come on up, Olivia. So far away. Olivia set the school record in the 600 meter. These records have been around for like 15, 20 plus years too, so it wasn't that simple to just do this. Olivia also was league champ in the 600 meters, and Olivia was the small school county champion in the high jump, which I'm sure surprises everyone here. She qualified for states in the high jump. She got as high as 5'6" this year, and at the state championships, Olivia proceeded to get 3rd place in the entire state. So awesome job for Olivia. The last few years, we've had some pretty solid relays, and this year, we kind of thought we'd step outside the box and we tried to qualify for the Millrose Games. So, the 4x8 was always our main event, and we have some competitors that we can't get over the hump. So we went to the Armory on a Wednesday night, and we tried to qualify for the 4x8, and then as a backup plan, we had the 4x4 like 15, 20 minutes after, if the 4x8 didn't go as planned. So we run the 4x8, and to make the Millrose Games, you had to get 1st place. Unfortunately, we took 3rd. We did set a school record of 9 minutes and 50 seconds from Olivia, Danielle, and Grace, and Haley Dehas, who was unable to make it tonight. And afterwards, I'll never forget, I sat there and I was like, oh, we made a bad decision. We're gonna be a little tired. It's gonna be hard to come back in the 4x4. And not one of these young ladies complained or made any excuses. They literally had to walk to their seats. They grabbed a drink of water. They go to the line, and I'll never forget, I'm standing next to Coach DeBello, and I'm like, let's see how this goes. And they ran their butts off, and they ended up qualifying for the Millrose Games in the 4x4. And a month later, at the Millrose Games, at this time, the school record was 4 minutes and 10 seconds in the 4x4. And to qualify, we ran 4:11. And our relay, Danica Tidbridge, Grace McCallie, Olivia Simonetti, Danielle Simonetti, come on up. Grace, Danielle, and Danica are all freshmen. Olivia is a senior. They proceeded to go into the Millrose Games and run a 4:02.18. They narrowly missed 1st place. They took 2nd place in the whole event. And from that moment on, we realized, I've been screwing up this whole time. We were not really a 4x8 team. We took that momentum, and on the following Monday, we were county champions in the 4x4. We took the county championship. We proceeded to make the states. And at the state meet, these 4 young ladies ended up getting 3rd place in the entire state, and that includes Catholic schools, city schools, everyone else. That relay, in East Islip history, we've never had a relay become county champions. We've never had a girls relay qualify for states. So to not just qualify for the event, but then to go up there and we held our own and we had a chance to win a state championship. I'm really lucky as like a track coach because we get spring now to try to go out there and try to get a little revenge on those other 2 teams who beat us. I know these girls are hungry. It was an awesome experience, but these guys had a really great season. They worked really, really hard. You know, a lot of these they're all 3-sport athletes, and every day they're out there working on different things. And as you heard, like, none of them just do one event. Even, you know, Grace is all county in the high jump, and Danica is also one of the best 300, 600 meters in our league. They're very versatile, and the best compliment I can give them is, you know, first off, these young ladies have been running together since they were 8 years old. And we talked about this when we were going to the States. Nobody else in that relay, like running those races, probably have been together that long. And to keep doing that, and all they all cared about was the team. They all come to me and always say, like, is the team, you know, for team. Not once was it ever about themselves. They never cared about any individual split. And it was an awesome job. It was a great experience. I'm excited. You know, spring season, we start up tomorrow with our first meet, and I have no doubt we're going to have a good season. So good job, girls.
Thank you.
Alrighty, moving along. Our varsity girls bowling team is one of the best in the county, if not the state. And at this time, I would like to introduce Coach Scanoni and a couple of our girl bowling members here tonight. Thank you.
So as the girls bowling team finished this year, we were undefeated League 3 champs. We finished second in the county tournament behind Longwood, who ended up finishing second in the state. But moving forward, these three girls placed all county, and they also finished in the top 6 of the county for the 6 highest averages, which led them to be all state members, and they went upstate to compete in Syracuse, New York. I got the privilege to go watch them compete in Syracuse, and it was honestly probably one of the best things I've ever done. To watch these girls compete on a level just as a bystander, watching them compete and the focus, and it really shows how much work they put in the off season, and they do things that they don't even tell me about. And they do all the extra stuff, and it's really outstanding. But to speak a little more about them as people, on Fridays when we go down to practice, we have younger girls that come in and bowl, and these three, being the 3 better girls we have on the team, always take care of the little girls that we have on the team. They take the 7th grade girls, the girls that are just new, and they make them feel part of the team, and they help them. They help them get better, even when they throw the ball in the gutter 7 times in a row. They go, it's okay, don't worry about it. And it really speaks a lot to their character as people, and I couldn't be more proud of them. So not only am I proud of you for being great bowlers and outstanding bowlers, competing at the high level, but I'm even prouder of you for being the people that you are. So thanks for letting me be here.
Alrighty, last but not least, our varsity cheerleading team. What a season that they had. I think they just got through the TSA checkpoint at this time. Unfortunately, coming home from Orlando, they had a rough time getting through TSA at that time. But what a tremendous season the girls had. And what I would like to do right now is introduce Coach Abisamis and our varsity girl cheerleading team.
Hi everyone, thank you to the Board of Ed for inviting us tonight to be recognized for accomplishments this season. I'd also like to thank the teachers, administration, athletic department, and the community for your unwavering support. I have been the varsity coach for the last 3 years, and I was the JV coach for 3 years prior to that. So I have been with this group of athletes pretty much from start to finish. We have 11 graduating seniors this year out of a team of 18, so it is a lot. Last year, the team competed down in Florida at UCA Nationals for the second time in school history. They competed through 4 rounds of competition against over 80 teams across the country, and for the first time ever in East Islip cheerleading history, they made it to the final round where they placed 7th in the nation. They took last year's experiences and turned it into this year's motivation. From the start of the season in August to the end of the season in March, these girls showed up every single practice, ready to work hard and committed to their goals of being better than last year. This team set the bar very high, and I am sure will be talked about for many, many years to come, and I'm so privileged to coach them and be a part of their journey, both on the mat and outside of the mat, and just watch them grow up. I am so proud to stand here before you guys and say that during the 2022-2023 season, this team has gotten first at 2 local competitions, 5th place at regionals against 20 teams. They did even better at nationals this year and placed 6th in the nation, is 2nd in New York State, and for the first time ever is Suffolk County champions. Congratulations, girls, on an amazing season, and thank you for letting me guide you through it.
Finally.
Hello everybody, I'm Rob Waddle, the Director of Art and Music, DI Coordinator, and I would like to bring up 3 students. I think only Kira is here, but I will see if Kevin Huang is here, and Aiden Thompson and Kira Antillo, come on up. So each year we participate in NISMA, which is the New York State Schools Music Association, and that is the state assessment for music students. Every district participates in that opportunity. We have about 600 students here in our district that participate each year. And this year there was about 6,500 students statewide that attended the all state level, which is a level of 6, which is the hardest level that you can perform on for NISMA. You have to earn a 98, a 99, or a 100 to be considered for this opportunity. Out of those 6,500 students, 2,400 students meet that criteria. Of those 2,400 students, the music teachers have to recognize and select students to be for that, and then we'll go before a committee to the state. Of those 2,400 students, 600 students go before this board to be selected. And we have 3 students in East Islip that were selected. So Aiden Thompson and Kevin Huang were alternatives. Because it is such an honor, NISMA plans to have alternatives for students that cannot participate. Kira did participate in December in Rochester, and she is going to also participate this upcoming spring break. She and I are going together. And she's participating in All Eastern, which is every school district on the East Coast of musicians. So it is a huge, huge honor. So I would like to give her this certificate.
Good evening. Thank you, Mr. Manzo, Mr. Zachary, for this opportunity to recognize one of our fine young ladies at the East Islip High School. My name is Mark Bernard, the proud principal of East Islip High School. The Coca-Cola Scholars Program Scholarship is an achievement-based scholarship awarded to students in their final year of high school. Students are recognized for their capacity to lead and serve, as well as their commitment to making a significant impact on their schools and communities. This year, East Islip had 2 students who were recognized as semifinalists. One of them is here this evening. We were able to recognize the other student at the last Board of Education meeting. So Nicole Mazza, come on up, please. Reaching this level distinguishes these students as extraordinary leaders in their schools and community. Over 91,000 students applied for this national program, and only 1,557 were recognized as semifinalists. Congratulations, Nicole. So Nicole has been, she just came over from the Sports Awards, where she earned her 6-letter varsity jacket. Congratulations. She wasn't able to make our last Board of Education meeting because she does participate in the youth squad for the Exchange Ambulance of the Islips, and she was taking a EMT class. So, as a first responder, I want to thank you, and I want to thank all of our first responders who are always there for us when we need them. So, some of the things that earned her this distinction, she is a volunteer and volunteers her time. She wrote letters to veterans. She was involved in the Autism Run. She's done multiple drives and collections, including, but not limited to, Blood Drive, Gene Drive, Winter Warmth Drive, Thanksgiving Food Drive, Animal Shelter Drive, Sock Drive, Sports Equipment Drive, and a Book Drive. She coaches 5-year-old cheerleaders. She's a volunteer at Vacation Bible School. She's done kick cleanup, and she maintains a 100+ weighted average at East Islip High School. She's also a cheerleader. She's in the Interact Club, Science Honor Society, National Honor Society, Leaders Club, and in the World Language Honor Society. She has been the High Honor Roll in East Islip High School for all 4 years. She's an AP Scholar and also earned High Achievement Award for cheerleading, recognized by the county for that. In her spare time, she works at Mulberry Street, and during the summers at Bayside Clam Bar and Mickey's Clam Bar. Congratulations, Nicole.
So again, huge congratulations to our honorees this evening, and I thank you to all our parents and guardians for supporting our students. It's really very a great joy in seeing them succeed. So again, thank you.
Congratulations to everyone here tonight. I mean, it's amazing when we come here. We really missed this. During those COVID years, it was very lonely in here. So it's great to be able to celebrate our student academic achievements and athletes. They do such an amazing job. So one more time, congratulations. Okay, public comment.
Good idea.
Mr. Harrison's up.
Very good idea.
Congratulations.
I wonder who gave the signal. Sorry, Steve.
Even Mr. Bernard
tonight to appropriate money from the repair reserve. Repair reserve is a vehicle that all school districts across the state have the ability to create after receiving approval from the community to establish and fund. The purpose of a repair reserve is to appropriate money that is used to repair capital assets of the district. These type of repairs are not something that happens on an annual basis. It happens periodically, but more than a year's time has to span before repairing a particular item. As an example, if you think about your own personal vehicle, you do maintenance throughout the year, oil changes and things of that nature. That's not something that would qualify as a repair reserve expense. However, if the engine blew on that particular car, you'd be able to spend money from this reserve to make a repair on the engine. But in order to spend those monies, you have to hold a hearing, which we're doing tonight, and the board later on will consider a resolution that will authorize the district to spend funds from this reserve. So before I get started, I'd actually like to thank my colleagues, the board, as well as and Mr. Gagliano, who was instrumental in putting together the project selected for the repair reserve hearing tonight. So back in May of 2019, the voters approved the repair reserve. Not only approved it, but established the ability to fund. In that repair reserve, there's a balance of $3.8 million. And as I said just a moment ago, we have to hold this public hearing and have the Board of Education approve a resolution in order for us to spend funds from this reserve. Now, the thing that's important to note, this is not money that's going to be additive to the tax levy. It's not part of the budget. These are funds that the district has proactively set aside to do these repairs and not to tax the taxpayer for these particular reserves. So we have a scope that's going to have a dollar amount not to exceed $350,000. There are 5 projects slated for repair. We're going to work on the middle school tennis court repairs. Hopefully extend the life of those courts by about 10 years. That involves crack repair, resurfacing, and retaping of the tennis courts. We do have some sidewalk and concrete repairs that are necessary at Connecticut Elementary School. We have some high school gym floor repairs, which includes a 10 by 10 foot section where the wood actually has to be replaced. Then we'll sand and we'll refinish and retape lines on that floor. The lunchroom floor, which we're here today in this venue, we're going to remediate some problems that are happening below the surface, and then we're going to have a new flooring installed. And then finally, the middle school track is in need of repainting. So just to add a little bit more to the presentation, as part of the budget process, on the ballot for this year, we're going to have a capital reserve proposition. The capital reserve was established back in May of 2016. Current balance in that reserve is $2 million. And different from the repair reserve, we actually have to gain voter approval to spend monies from this fund. So that's going to be a proposition on the ballot on May 16th. The project scope is we plan to complete all the district-wide interior door project, and we also, if that project is completed and there's money remaining, we'll consider exterior door replacement as well as additional security enhancements. Again, all these, whether it's a repair reserve or capital reserve, this is not additive to the tax levy, nor is it additive to the budget. So at this point, if there are any questions from the Board of Education. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Harrison. The committee, Anthony, thank you very much for all you've done on that. Yeah, it's a good thing that we have those reserves we saved up for some time to prepare so that we can make those improvements without increasing taxes. I know the high school tennis courts cost about, how much to replace?
I don't have
$6 million,
but it was quite a bit.
Several million dollars. So to be able to spend a little bit of money every couple of years to maintain things like the tennis courts and not have to replace them goes a long way. So it's great to have that reserve that we don't have to increase the taxes.
All right, the next presentation tonight is on the budget. This is our second of 3 presentations we're making. Largely the same presentation from before. I will go over some of that detail, but I will also point out some changes between the first and second draft of the budget. Once again, thank you to the Board of Education, Superintendent, my colleagues, as well as staff that helped get us to this point. So same format as in the past. We'll talk about revenue, then we'll talk about expenses. We already spoke about capital and repair reserves, so that'll go fairly quickly, and then the remaining budget timeline. So we don't have any updated information from the state budget as of yet, so this is again the same information that was presented previously. I'd just like to point out some things quickly. Most of our aid comes from foundation aid, which is roughly $29 million. The takeaway here is that we're a district that does not get large increases in foundation aid from year to year. We only get what's considered the minimum, which is 3%. There are other districts in Suffolk County that are getting tens of millions of dollars. That's because previously to the past few years, their foundation aid has been underfunded. We've been fully funded, and our increases are going to be minimal from year to year. Second, universal pre-K. This is not part of the general fund budget. However, it's important to note that we'll be able to fund an additional 61 students in our universal pre-K program, bringing the total to 178. The next thing on building aid, the governor's budget has us going down to $4.5 million. However, we have more up-to-date information than what was available when the governor put the budget together, and we figure our state aid in this category is going to be closer to $4.9 million due to projects that we've been working on coming to closure. So overall, the state aid budget is remaining relatively flat. Again, this is our second largest revenue source, so it's important to note that here we're restricted because of the district that we have, that we're not going to get large increases from year to year. The largest funding source is our tax levy, and each district has to go through a calculation that brings them to their tax levy cap. This calculation resulted in a cap of 2.18%. Some of the key factors here is the tax base growth factor, which is a number given us by New York State. It's an indication of the level of building that's going on in the East Islip community. It's never going to be less than 1, but whatever it is above 1 allows us to increase our levy by that amount. The pilot payments, the current agreement has expired. However, the property that this relates to has not yet been placed on the tax rolls. You see here that their payment going into next year is going to increase by $47,000. So since this is a source of revenue separate from the tax base, this reduces our ability to raise taxes. But I'd like people to remember that once this property is removed from the pilot tax rolls and it's placed on regular tax rolls, we're going to be allowed to increase our levy by about 1.4%. So with that being said, inflation is at 8%. However, due to the calculation, we're only allowed to increase our levy by a 2% inflation factor. So putting these all together, our levy has the ability to increase by $1.6 million, or 2.18%. However, the second draft of what's being presented tonight is supported by taxes of 1.4%. So we're not, at this point, the board has made a decision to not go to the cap of 2.18%. Instead, it's going up to 1.4%. All right, so instead of going up $1.6 million, it's going up by a number closer to $1 million. So this chart here represents the allowable levy increase, which is what the board could have and the district could have went to in each particular year versus what we eventually decided to go to. So again, for the 2023-24 budget, We could have gone as high as 2.18%. However, at this point, the budget is supported by 1.4%. The prior 2 years, we were at the tax cap of 1.5 and 0.93%, but you see there's a long history prior to that of being well below the cap. This is the same information, just in dollars instead of percent. So in the 23-24 school year, the tax levy could have been as high as $75.2 million. We're going out at a levy of $74.7 million, a full $577,000 below what could have been taxed. And again, going back to these prior years, you can see the gap between the allowable levy, which is the top line, and the actual levy, which is the bottom line. Now, this does come at a cost, and each year, if you go out at a lower tax levy than what's allowable, that starts you off at a lesser number than the following year. So if the decision was to go to the tax levy in each particular year at the cap, our tax levy would have been as high as $83.7 million. So we're a full $9 million less than that because of decisions not to go to a cap in any one particular year. So this is a quick example of an average homeowner, and it goes back to 13-14. So the data from 2013-14 through 22-23 is based upon actual tax rates. And then 23-24, since there's no tax levy information from the town, that's what our tax levy rate would be, is 1.4%. So for instance, last year, we went out at a 0.93% tax levy, and due to changes in assessed valuations at the town level, taxpayers essentially had a flat tax levy from one year to the next on a tax rate basis. Now, in 21-22, you see that the actual tax rate increase was 2.31%. The district went out with a 1.5% increase in that year. However, due to fluctuations at the town level with assessed valuations, that actually translated to a 2.31% increase in the tax levy for the homeowners. But looking historically, going back to 13-14, you see that we're only up a couple of $100 in rate over that time frame. In addition, the decision to go out at a 1.4% instead of a 2.18% has chopped off about $70 from this number here from the last presentation. So on the revenue side, as I said earlier, our main contributors to revenue is our tax levy, which represents 59% of our revenue, and the state aid, which represents another 33%. Some smaller categories, but of note, the district is putting forth $4.8 million from reserves to not tax fully to the taxpayers for the support of the budget. So that's $4.8 million that's coming out of surplus that's been set aside to help offset costs rather than increase the levy any more that's being levied. So other things of note, we have our pilot payments, which I talked about earlier, of $987,000. We run a before and after school program, which nets about $560,000. And in addition, there's some money that's remaining from interfund transfers to capital that wasn't needed. So that's being returned to the taxpayer here to support the budget in 23-24. Okay, so I hope everybody can grab a presentation on their way out if they don't already have one, but there's a long list of initiatives that are included that either have been accomplished or that will be accomplished with our next year's budget. So rather than go through the detail, please feel free to take a copy and take a look at these items. They're pretty substantial.
Excuse me, Mr. Harris.
Yes.
Taxes historically, the way the history was, aren't going up 1.4%, right? It's just the levy?
Well, that's the levy increase, and because assessed valuation is not in place for next tax year, there's no information to indicate whether that'll be a higher or lower number. But historically, the number that we've gone out at has been lower in terms of the tax rate to the taxpayers.
But for reference, last year we approved a 0.93.
That's correct.
My tax bill said 0.
Yes. Flipping to page 13, this is a review of our salary and benefits as part of the budget for 23-24. Overall, we're going up 1.61%. As you can see, that's mainly driven by benefits, and that's directly related to the increase in health insurance premiums for the next school year. Our premiums are going up by 14%, which is a $2 million increase from expenditures from the 22-23 budget. We do have on the first line for teachers and administrators, we have retirees built into the budget being replaced by entry-level salaries. And we are adding staff in certain categories, particularly a teacher assistant, which is responsible for that increase, as well as a maintenance position for the custodial and additional security related expenses. So overall, salary and benefits going up 1.61%. These are other expenditures that are not salary related. They're going down slightly at 1.37%. The overall budget year to year is going 0.81%, which is $1 million. Just some highlights. The equipment line is going down primarily because we had a large expenditure in the 22-23 school year for the weight room equipment in the fitness room. However, there is some very nice items included in next year's budget, including lighting or sound equipment for the middle school auditorium. We have some air conditioners, video monitors, we have some maintenance vehicles, and security equipment. Moving down to transportation. Transportation is going up by 4.5%. We're in a 5-year contract with our transportation vendor, which have increases built into it, as well as some additional routes that are anticipated. And utilities has been a tough item to budget, and I hope to get some clarity going into the following year's budget. Due to our energy performance contract, we're starting to see some savings, but those savings that we counted are multiple year savings, so it's not really clear yet based upon information coming over from the vendor on how much is related to any one particular year. But the expectation is going forward that we'll be able to reduce our electric budget substantially in 24-25. We did reduce our telephone budget. We installed a system a couple of years ago, and that's netted some decent savings, so we've taken that savings into the budget. Offsetting that is, as we know, increase in pricing of gas and so forth. In legal insurance auditing, the main cause for that increase is our insurance policy. Due to global warming leading to more intense storms, we're starting to see increased claims. Well, the insurance company is starting to see increased claims, which they've had to pay out. In addition, Child Victims Act has put a strain on claims having to be paid by our insurance company. Not necessarily claims generated from us, but throughout the industry. So that's causing that increase. On furniture repair, which is going down slightly, we had an initiative over the past few years to repair our unit ventilators that are in the various buildings. Now that we're working our way through that, we can lower that budget a little bit. And with textbooks, we've made some very large textbook purchases over this year and the past couple of years. So we're just returning to our normal spending habits, and that's why that's going down by $300,000. So overall, again, $1 million increase to the budget, 0.81%. The next two slides take each component of the budget and base it upon a percent of the total. So for instance, our salary and benefits is 73.6% of our total budget. And I always remind everyone that this is not uncommon, and I'm sure if you took a snapshot of every school district, you know, the majority of the expenses are going to be towards salary and benefits. So just to reiterate again, there's going to be a capital reserve proposition on the ballot. May 17th, it was approved to fund this reserve, which we've been doing, and we've made several expenditures from this reserve, and this is our third time using money that's in this reserve, but we do need voter approval to spend. We talked about the repair reserve. So the next slide just kind of summarizes the major categories of the budget. So over the past 5 years, the average increase, now this is the average increase of the levy, not the rate, was 0.93%. So this is what we've increased the levy by. If we did the same snapshot for the actual tax rate increase, that 0.93% would be lower. So the approved budget is proposed budget is $125,761,000, and we're supporting that with $4.8 million of reserves. So at our next meeting, which is on April 18th, we'll be presenting the third draft of the budget, and at that time, the board will be asked to adopt the budget, which will be put to the board of voters on May 16th. Any questions from the board?
Steve, to get from the 2.18 in your last presentation down to the 1.4, now, there aren't any services or jobs, programs that are being cut to get down to that number. It's solely, we're taking more money out of our reserves and saving money to support the budget. It has nothing to do with any cuts in it, right?
That's an important point. So a school district has a choice when we're faced with these issues, if a tax levy is going to be lower than the cap. And one of those choices would be decrease expenses. So as Mr. Zachary correctly said, the budget's fully loaded as it was in the first draft of the budget. The second option would be to increase revenues, and there's no revenue sources that would allow us to offset that decrease in the levy. So we have our reserves, which is our savings accounts, which we can access, and that's what's making up the difference.
Any questions? So April 19th, Steve, is that the last presentation? Is that when we adopt?
That's going to be adoption. I think it's the 18th.
18th.
Yep.
Okay. Mr. Harrison, thank you very much. Great job on all three presentations. Well done. You know, A+ to everyone who stayed for all three presentations. But no, not at all. It's something that has to be done, but you do a great job doing it. So thank you. That's all you got, Mr. Manzo?
That's all you got?
For now.
Reminiscent of Mr. DeWine. Public comments on agenda items only. No. Be resolved that upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, the Board of Education approves the resignations, terminations, leave of absence, position abolitions, employment appointments, tenure appointments, and salary changes in accordance with applicable provisions of education law and civil service law as cited in the certified personnel attachment. Can I get a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Be resolved that upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, the Board of Education approves the resignations, terminations, leave of absence, position abolitions, employment appointments, tenure appointments, and salary changes in accordance with applicable provisions of education law and civil service law as cited in the non-certified personnel attachment. Can I get a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Discussion?
I'm not too happy with number 6.
No, none of us are. But I guess
Maybe we should table that, Chris?
maybe we should table that one.
Nah.
If we don't approve her, I guess she can't leave.
Doesn't work.
All in favor? I don't know, but we should find out. All in favor?
Aye.
We're talking about Ms. Mann, who's up in the superintendent's office. And Joanne, how long have you worked here? 31 years. And Joanne is amazing. She is truly at the heart of the district, and She just serves so many hats and functions around here. She's amazing. I can't really imagine what it's like without her here. And, so we'll do something more, I guess, in June on that. But tonight we approved her resignation, June 30th. So we still have some time with her, and you know, we'll talk about that in June. But Joanne, it breaks my heart to vote yes on that and for you to go. So thank you very much for everything you've done for each other. Maybe we should rename this building after her.
Yeah, let's scratch that out.
Scratch out the John Owen. Anthony, can you get working on that? The Joanne Mann Administrative Office Building.
Name the garbage can after John.
Yeah, listen, he had a good run, about 6 months at it.
Yeah, it's over.
So,
Moving on.
we'll talk about that at our next meeting. Be resolved that the Board of Education, upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, recommends the Board of Education approve the consent agenda items 10-1 through 10-11 in accordance with the action presented for each item. Does anybody want anything removed from the consent? Okay, motion for the consent agenda.
Motion. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Be resolved that upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, the Board of Education accepts the donation of a Yamaha 2855 II open hole intermediate flute from Phyllis Fizuzzi, a retired employee. The value of the donation is approximately $250 to $380. The donation will be a good addition to the music department inventory. Get a motion?
Motion. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much for this very generous donation that this instrument can now go to kid here in the school. It's always great when our past employees donate stuff back to the school. So thank you very much, Ms. Fizuzzi. Be resolved that upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, the Board of Education approves the attached list of appropriation changes to the 22-23 school year. Get a motion?
Motion. Second.
Discussion.
Steve, can you just go over the second one?
The second transfer appropriation change is for health services. This is an expense of the districts when we have resident students attending parochial schools outside of the district, and those schools where those, the districts where those parochial schools are located have to provide health services. They charge the district of residents for that service being provided, and there are more students going to these schools requiring us to increase the budget to accommodate that expense.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Old business. Any old business? No old business to wrap up? New business?
New business, so I just wanted to talk about, I mentioned last time about SEPTA was having their Night of Knowledge meeting here. It was actually a great event. I attended it. Myself, my son, and I came down. It was very well attended by the community. I was very proud to see all the different vendors that were out there offer services for our children. And I just wanted to report back on that. And then additionally, I got to attend the high school play this past weekend. It was very, very, very well. I want to thank Mrs. Alfeld and Mr. Nesky. It was a great performance, as well as the students overall for the great performance they put on. And I just want to thank them again. Thank you very much.
They were amazing. If you didn't get the chance to go to the play, it was amazing. You know, normally we have several students who just stand out and just perform great at these plays. This year it seemed like there was like a dozen that were just, they were like all co-stars, all of them. And just amazing. You know, the voices, the job they did, truly a great performance by all the kids. And like I said, Ms. Affelt, Mr. Nesky, it must be so much fun to do that because it's fun to watch. So if you missed it this year, please make it a point next year. You gotta go see this. I mean, it's right around the corner. You know, to spend so much money going to Broadway and to go to other shows. It's really right in your backyard. You really got to go see the kids. They do an amazing job. Anything else? Any other new business?
I screwed up. I wanted to ask a question also. So I'm gonna ask you a new business. Where we at with the maintenance bond?
May 1st, it should be ready.
By,
That's what we're told,
by when?
by May 1st.
Okay.
So
So,
we're gonna try to have like a nice opening ceremony. So,
nice. A ribbon?
What was that?
A ribbon?
Yeah, ribbon cutting, yeah.
Nice.
Is it true that the softball field scoreboard is going to be starting very soon?
Yes, tomorrow they're installing the posts. And
Tomorrow
then,
post?
Yeah, the post in center field, and they need about 72 hours to cure, and then after that, they're gonna install the actual board. So, we're trying to push it to this week, but it looks like it's gonna be rain on Saturday next week.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Sorry.
Any other new business? No more new business. Okay. We got a reading of the policy. Dun, dun, dun. Oh, Dr. Bell, step it up.
Step it up. So this is the first reading of policy 7200, which is the capital improvement project change order policy. This policy was recommended to the district from our district auditor, and our attorneys, Ingerman and Smith, have reviewed this.
Terrific. Thank you, Dr. Bell. Ms. Mann, what do you got for us?
Jackie Messina. Good evening.
Good evening.
My reasons, can you hear me? Can
Yes.
you hear me better? Okay. My reasons for coming here tonight is to implore our school administration to take a look at our current situation in this country and to start taking more progressive measures in trying to combat this. This being the school shootings and the dangerous situations that I think most of the parents in East Islip, surprised we aren't here, are starting to feel. Just so you know a little bit of my background, I do not come from somebody who believes this can't happen in our neighborhood. My niece was part of Parkland School District. So this happens in all of our neighborhoods, and I think we're all starting to understand that. I'm not comfortable with the way this has been handled so far. Okay, I feel like we get, oh, you know, it's okay, we got this. These are our children's lives. Okay, you have to really understand. Okay, so let me go on. It's not a black and white situation. We all know that. Okay, there are a lot of pieces to this puzzle. Okay, some of the constructive measures that I feel like we can start taking, and I've been looking into this a little bit, is I understand we don't have a zero tolerance in our code of conduct. Is this correct?
What do you mean by zero tolerance?
Zero tolerance as far as if something happens that goes to an extreme, like what had happened at the middle school dance, that child would just never be allowed back into that school.
I don't think by law we could say that a child is never allowed back into school every year.
Okay.
From a board of the state because
Okay.
of something silly. I don't want to downplay it. It's very serious.
Yeah, yeah.
So it is a very serious
yeah.
thing, so I'm not
Yeah.
downplaying. But New York State does not allow us to just remove
Okay,
children
he's
from
blackened
school
now.
without.
His eyes are blackened.
Yeah.
This is not, this looks like every other school shooter who killed people. This is not a joke.
No.
It's not a joke anymore because, and these kids can get weapons. Okay,
Absolutely.
obviously they can. All right, so, I'm just trying to brainstorm a little bit what we might be able to do with this situation, something a little bit more constructive. I do understand there are legalities to that. I'm not quite, educated in that part. The other part is the security in the school. I don't feel like the security is tight enough. walked into the school a couple of times without even my license, that's in middle school, my daughter's in the middle school, without even having my license looked at, okay? It was, and all I could think of was, wow, that was too easy. That was way too easy. Okay? Also, I have to tell you, thank goodness, because I think it's one of our parents' nightmare when our children are bullied. Okay? I think we all have had experiences with that. You know, middle school, I think it's part of growing up. But when it goes to the extent where these children are getting away with, we have social media to deal with now, we have a lot of different avenues that these kids can get bullied in. And I don't think that this is being taken care of properly either. According to my daughter, who, thank goodness again, that she really hasn't been bullied, but she comes and tells me stories, and I just want to cry. These parents, what they must feel like being called gay, being called racist remarks. How does that happen? How does that not get addressed? Okay, again, this is not an easy fix, black and white situation. Have you all read, I'm just curious, FBI, the school shooter, a threat assessment perspective. Have you read that coming from the FBI? Every parent, every administrator, and every school staff should read this. It's very important at recognizing the signs and what we need to do a little bit more constructive to help the situation. I was told, rest assured, I did many, I'm sure, and Mr. Manzo, don't think I don't empathize with your position. You are brand new in this, and wow, you really got hit, okay? I understand that, but I needed to know if my daughter was in a safe environment, and I never got an answer back. I did get an answer from the principal who just said, oh, rest assured, it's all, I'm not rest assured. And I haven't been for quite some time. All right, so on that note, I just I felt compelled to come here and speak my mind, and I hope that all of you take this just a little bit more seriously. I appreciate being told, oh, nobody can open the door and nobody can do this anymore, but I still feel like we're just being, you know, it's okay, don't worry. Well, we are worried. We're all worried. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you for getting up and speaking on this very important topic. I do have to disagree with you on one thing, in that we take this very seriously.
Okay.
Everything we've
I
done.
just heard you say silly and that kind of.
No.
Okay.
I wasn't referring to that specific incident.
And it could have been.
But
And it could have been.
It's
Can't
certainly
take
not.
hands.
But we take it very seriously. We
Thank
have
you.
since for a long time now.
Thank you.
Columbine happened long before we were on the school board.
Right.
And has been, you know, safety and health of our students is number one. And we've said that all along. And with the bond, we put in a lot of safety procedures, including the vestibules in every school that you have to show your license. So that will be brought up with our security and school principals, because that cannot happen. That can't happen.
And all I could think of, and the woman in the front was like, we were both like,
Yeah,
really?
no, that should not be happening, so we will discuss that with them, but we've, you know, all the doors that you heard about tonight, replacing all the doors, safety issue. So we take this very seriously. This is not, and no matter how long it goes between incidents, it doesn't, you know, come off of our front plate, our front burner. It is number one in what we do, so please know, we do not, you know, we're not sleeping on that. That is number one every year, every day.
I just want to add to what Mr.
We need more of a plan.
I just want to add to what Mr. Zachary is referring to. So we have a team of administrators and our security consultant actually attending a program over in Albany from May 31st to June 1st, where they're going to talk about trainings, they're going to talk about threat assessments, and how we can be more proactive in ensuring that our student safety is always first, students and staff. So we are looking to do that. We're sending a team up. We had Dr. Bells and Dr. O'Rourke attended a program in Saratoga a few months back, about a month ago, regarding the same topic. So it is something that's in the forefront. Unfortunately, it takes a little time to get everything moving and get together, but we are working on that.
And I don't know what can be done, again, I don't know the legalities of it, but parents, I mean, I repeated fake news. I thought he was back in school and that nothing was being done because we didn't get any kind of information.
Well, we can't give information on a child's
I don't need to know his
discipline.
name, I don't need to know
Yeah.
any of that.
So
I just
that's-
need to know she's safe. So how do we do that? How do we do that? It's a brainstorming activity. How do we do that? When I was a teacher, I did not have to worry about these things. But this is a new, what I feel like, a new training that people, like you were just saying, need to go through to understand how are we going to handle this now. This is a new world. It's crazy, but it's a new world, and we have to be ready for it.
All new security cameras. I'm just trying to think of all the things that we've done to make it safer.
Well, I can also assure you that the board is going to also look at the code of conduct every summer, and of course it's always an evolving thing, and this is going to come to the forefront, especially with the information they're going to get from their workshop. Okay. And we're going to come back and see if we can get something written down. In any way, shape, or form that could have some more, and the students can be aware of what happens with the threat, very similar to like something like a bomb threat or something. This should be taken seriously, and of course that we're going to begin that discussion as well.
As Mr. Carpenter points out, we closed the campus. You can no longer go in and out of high school all day like you used to go to the deli for lunch. A lot of parents were not happy with that, but that's a security feature. We were one of the first districts to have on guard, you know. So we've been on this from the beginning, and like I said, it's an evolving thing. And as we brainstorm and come up with new ideas, that anything to protect our staff and our children, we'll do.
Crazy world.
Joe?
Good evening. I want to thank the board and you guys for serving. You know, I think the events over the past couple of weeks have really hit nerves with a lot of parents. And naturally, you're going to look at your kid's school, right? I have a middle school. My child is in middle school. And, you know, when I look at some of the, you know, I want to kind of talk about more the technical standpoint of securing and hardening a school to be safe from this kind of a threat. As you saw, the shooter went right through a glass door on the front door. Does that mean that we should not have glass doors? They were trying to find where the shooter was. Did they have CCTV that was live that the police could look and see where is this person? You know, they're just going door to door. The technology that we have nowadays is much better than that. So if you guys are investing in CCTV, indoors, all of this should be considered in what we need to do in order to safeguard the school. As far as, you know, the incident that happened at the dance, you know, I know the student has rights and I respect that. So then I look at the code of conduct. There is a code of conduct. It's in written form. You have certain parameters of things. If you do wrong, you're going to get this consequence. I'm curious, what category did this incident fall into?
I don't think we should talk about specifically this instance.
I'm not asking for the information on the student. I'm just asking for, as far as I'm concerned, the school board should, or the powers that be should be categorizing this. Was this a, you know, like a bomb threat or a threat to hurt somebody?
Okay.
You know, the code of conduct talks about threats on the school ground, right? That means the property, right? I understood he was on the property. So I think that the problem is that the parents really don't have a view as to what's going on here, how the incident was assessed, what the response was. You know, it's not for me to say it should be suspended for 5 days or 2 weeks or a year, whatever it is. That's, again, in your code of conduct. But I think there needs to be some kind of a protocol for certain levels of offense, which I consider this. To send that picture out to people at a dance, what kind of level, what is the level of that?
He's showing his intent.
You know, you could say it's silly, but our kids are in the school. We've seen what's happened. We know that we say it's not going to happen to us, but then it happens to people we know. Something needs to be done to more codify the actions of children or students that threaten the school. And I would ask, do you guys keep minutes?
Yes.
Okay. I would ask that the security protocols be reviewed and presented to the parents in the updates you're doing to the building. I would like to know the CCTV system, if it is going to be linked to the police department, so they can be monitoring where is this person, what's going on in the school, not looking from door to door and taking a half an hour by the time you get through the school.
The updates in the security cameras throughout the district include a hookup with Suffolk County PD. So on their way here, they could have access and see those cameras.
Awesome.
And before they even get here, they know what's going on.
Awesome. And then, so there's another category need to be added to the code of conduct to cover this kind of a situation. Do you think there's a line item in that code of conduct that addresses what happened at the dance?
That's exactly what Mr. Sassone was saying, that every year as these things develop, the code of conduct gets looked at and changed to reflect the seriousness of those things.
And believe me, we're empathetic with different student situations and reasons why they're not stable or doing things that they do, and you know, we don't know. Is there is this? I'm assuming this child's getting some kind of support aside from it. I'm assuming that the parents were interviewed. You're assessing the situation because this child is back in the school now. How do I know that you've assessed it to the point where I don't have to worry about it anymore?
Because we want all our kids to feel safe in school and go through anything to make sure that happens.
I know you're limited in what you can talk to people about, but that does not give me any comfort.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for getting up here.
Good evening. My name is Christy Catone. I'm a parent of 3 children in the East Islip schools, 1 in high school, 2 in the middle school. I'm here to speak up about the intensity of the bullying within the middle school. I feel that it needs to be addressed as we're all here for the same reason. We moved here from Lindenhurst 2 years ago, and within a couple of months, my son began being bullied on a daily basis. He has been verbally abused, bullied via text messages, Snapchat, via the phone calls of him that were also distributed throughout the school. My child is consistently bullied about his sexuality, which he has not yet to discover himself. He's only 12, and this is not a thought in his mind yet. However, there is a large group of children who continually call him gay, faggot, and other vulgar words that I'm not even comfortable saying out loud tonight. After multiple occurrences, I decided to fill out the DASA form to help my son. Supposed phone calls from the administrators to the parents of the bullies have gone out, but they have not stopped. This is an ongoing issue with my son. I was told that the situation was handled each and every time, but it still did not stop. At this point, something more powerful needs to be done to protect all these children that are in this situation. We all know there has been an uptick in violence in all the schools, especially Lindenhurst. The most recent happening in Lindenhurst due to a bullying situation. This hits close to home and should be a wake-up call for us, for our district of East Islip. This is the time for East Islip to pave the way and set the example on how we can make a positive change for all of our children and do a better job in making them safe. Bullying should not and cannot be taken lightly. I am sure there are many parents like me that are here and have many ideas for changes, but our voices are still not heard. Some changes that I can think of, that there should be maybe counseling for all these children that are bullied, like an after-school program, or counseling for the bullies, maybe more security in school, and strictly enforce the no bullying policy. Does it take one of our own to be injured for this to be taken more seriously? Your job, along with these all employed by East Islip School Districts, are responsible for the protection of every child that attends East Islip schools. A child needs to be injured for this to be taken more serious. Our school is supposed to protect our children. He was at school after school for a sports game, and he was harassed by a girl that he was once friends with. My daughter was a witness with 2 other friends. She would not leave him alone. The next day, she went into the principal's office. I received a phone call. I was told my son could not attend that particular game because she is the scorekeeper for the sport. Who is the victim? Why is my son told that he cannot attend a sporting event? A week ago is from today that it's asked a form with a list of 28 children that have called my son horrific names that I cannot see coming out of a 12-year-old. My son is in therapy for the past 2 years with this all going on.
Ma'am, this is where zero tolerance comes in. That there should be zero tolerance for the bullying. Yeah. And as happy as I was to see all those kids and everything tonight, I'm going to say it to hear you say these things, because I couldn't imagine, it's hard enough sending your kid to school. And if you feel like they're being bullied or harassed, I can't imagine how you feel as a parent for that to happen. And there should be zero tolerance for bullying.
And it took a lot for me to do it because I say we're going through hard times, COVID, everything under the sun, the social medias, but the parents are failing. There was a confrontation on a text message that I had to intervene because the child threatened they were coming to my house to beat up my son. Furthermore, my son was friends with that girl, so I knew where she lived. I showed up at the house with my husband at 10 p.m. at night, and the parent had the audacity to ask me what I was doing there. And as I explained to her, she says, well, it doesn't matter because the rumors going around the school is that your son is bisexual. So you're talking an approximately 40-year-old something woman just insulted me when I'm trying to keep peace and have it stop. And you're going to tell me the rumors are in the school that it doesn't matter what he is.
It goes back to the DEI policy that we adopted a few months ago when parents got up and said something. We talked about maybe the kids need to learn to go home and teach it to the parents.
Yeah.
Because there's some parents, unfortunately, that I don't want to say support, but don't fix.
There's a DASA report that was addressed to the assistant principal, Mr. Brennan, and the new superintendent, with a list of 28 children in the course of 6 to 8 months that have called my son the most vicious names that I've ever seen in my life come out of a 12-year-old.
I'm sorry.
Excuse me, was the sporting event a high school or a middle school event?
Middle school. Middle school.
It should not happen.
Yeah.
And when it does happen, it needs to be fixed. And we will talk with our administrators as to what they can do to help your son.
I don't feel, like I said, I'm from Lindenhurst. Those were my kids' friends that were in the altercation. My kids were there from kindergarten. My kids were traumatized and very upset with the whole situation. But does it have to escalate where that could be my child in East Islip?
Shouldn't happen.
No, it shouldn't.
So again, I'm sorry you're going through, I'm sorry for your son. That doesn't help your son. So we'll do something, hopefully that will.
Thank you.
All right? Thank you. Thank you for having the courage to get up and talk.
It wasn't easy.
No, I'm sure it's not. It wasn't easy for me to hear. So thank you. Thank you for having the courage to do that, ma'am. The next Board of Education regular business meeting, annual budget adoption, budget presentation number 3, will be held on Tuesday, April 18th, 2020. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.